This is The Download, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting, brought to you by Spreaker from iHeart. I'm Gavin Gaddis, in for Tom Webster. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, November 7th. From Rain News, what types of podcast listeners are which types of consumers? New research from Signal Hill Insights and Triton Digital identifies 4 types of podcast listener. Heavy listeners who consume more than 5 hours a week, sports podcast listeners, music podcast listeners, and those new to podcasting. The data points present how different audiences are attuned to different consumer verticals. Compared to average podcast listeners, heavy listeners are 63% more likely to visit a quick service restaurant on a daily basis and 31% more likely to see a movie in theaters at least once a month. New listeners are 15% more likely to shop online, quote, a lot more than in person, end quote. Up next from PodPod, Acast's US bet pays off with 55% net sales growth in North America. Acast's latest interim report shows the company has increased its net sales by 32% year over year, which CEO Ross Adams largely attributes to positive growth in North America. The region has undergone a 55% year-over-year net sales increase, double the growth in Europe and other markets. In addition to new podcasts, acquisitions, and product launches, Acast also reports they've reduced operating loss by 57% year-over-year. Up next, from Insider Intelligence, consumer attention and ad spend are mismatched. Where does that leave advertisers? Average page dwell time has decreased 6.6 minutes since Q2 of last year, according to Moat data. The number of apps consumers use is also decreasing, according to insider data from early October. As ad spend increases year over year, the more competition is created for a consumer's time. With that in mind, research, including Sounds Profitable's own study, The Medium Moves the Message, shows podcasting has proven itself to be particularly effective at capturing an audience's attention. Hint, hint. Next, from Edison Research, the top 50 podcasts in the United States as of Q3 of this year. It's a new quarter. It's time for a new top 50 podcast from Edison Research. This time around, it's built from surveys of 5,409 weekly podcast listeners aged 13 and up. The top 4 podcasts in Q3 remain unchanged from quarter 2, but below is where things get interesting. Stand-up comedian Theo Von's new podcast, This Past Weekend with Theo Von, debuted in the quarter and snagged 5th place. Smartless has claimed 4 places since last quarter, ending up in 6th, and Wondery's Morbid reached 8th place, up from 12th last quarter. And from AdWeek, brands still test interactive voice ads years after launch. The article is a brief look back at the history of the interactive audio ad from its inception during the early days of smart speakers. While the field has been slow to start as it's largely reliant on wide adoption of new tech, marketers remain positive about audio ads designed to get audiences engaging with their smart speakers, usually involving a call to buy a product or to get more information. Late last month, Amazon announced they're bringing interactive audio ads to Amazon Music, Amazon-owned podcasts, and podcasts from partner networks. While the field may be relatively young, podcasts are primed to leverage lessons learned by those early smart speaker-focused advertisers. As for the rest of the news, BBC Studios grows its audio unit. The Hollywood Reporter covers a big investment in athlete-hosted video podcasts, and the Succession podcast takes home top podcast at the AdWeek Podcast Awards. Be sure to check out all the links to every article mentioned in your podcast listening app or at soundsprofitable.com, where you can also subscribe to the newsletter version. The Download is written and produced by Brian Barletta, Tom Webster, and myself. It's hosted on Art19. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us again tomorrow.